Okay, here we are on another Friday, another Ziti TV. Today is let's throw up the scene here. Let's see, boom. Today is April 18th, 2025. And today we had a request from last stream's Ziti TV Part 3 here, Learning OpenZiti Part 3, to make a web server dark. And we've done this in the past. And there's a couple of specific videos directed exactly at this particular point, but I felt that it does fit with the Learn OpenZiti motif, because what we'll do is we'll actually use the controller's very own API, the management API, as that particular HTTP API that we're going to turn dark. And so I should have put the URL into the description already, but we do have this. Let me put this into the old chat here in case anybody's looking and wants to go find the README. Let's show it. Might have to, okay, right there. Part 4, Learn OpenZiti Part 4. You can follow along with this GitHub. And as usual, I've done just the bare minimum to hopefully make it readable and followable and usable. And if there's anything wildly wrong or incorrect, I'll go back and I'll fix it after the show, because I do think it is instructive and insightful to watch somebody who screws it up fix it. And so hopefully if I screw it up, I'll fix it and we'll be able to keep on going. All right. Now I see the Ziti TV slide here, but I'm not seeing my logo, which is because my little streaming platform of choice has decided to fight me once again. Let's come back there. Now you'll see the correct thing. So part 4, the dark management API. Also out here in GitHub land on part 4, you'll find the part 4 draw.io, which I then used. Actually, the way I did this is I went to the part 4 draw.io. I got the raw URL just like this. And then I went to draw.io or diagrams.net and opened a from URL, pasted that URL, and then it'll load up this diagram. So if you wanted to see how I see this, that's how you would do it. And so what we're going to do today is, right now, the controller has technically it's got 4 APIs, but one of those APIs is the management API. And the management API is very important because the management API is what controls your OpenZiti overlay. And so it is a high value target. As such, you may want to take that high value target off of the internet entirely. And to do that, we're going to make the management API dark. And what we mean by dark is having no exposed ports at all through anything other than OpenZiti. Now, OpenZiti can take this concept one step further. What you see right here is we have a container, and it's got a router, and we have a container and it has a controller. And so all of that lives inside of the Docker world. Actually, I should maybe make it bigger because all of this is inside of a virtual machine out in Amazon land as well. And so the router and the controller are 2 different containers. And so in order to connect from the router to the controller must present a listening port on the underlay. And that's very common, right? Most APIs that you can't control are going to do that. But what you can do is you can control either through a firewall, preventing access to the port, or you can listen on a private IP address. Those are the 2 types of options that you have available to you to make that server not be listening on all interfaces and available through your firewall. So port forwarding is a term you'll hear all the time, or opening the firewall. Effectively the same kind of thing. Not quite, but close enough, right? And so instead of doing those things, we know we have port, I think 6700 and 6701 exposed, because that was what's in our compose file. And so we're going to take that and make it offline. So as usual, following along, we're going to back up part 3. I've already backed up part 3, and I've already restarted from a backup. So if you want to go and follow along, pause the video, as they say, and come back afterwards, and then we'll start part 4 up. I also have been using project name to isolate the containers inside of your Docker world, just in case. I don't know if there's any value in it, but that's what I've been doing. So let's go ahead and, am I in the right directory? I am in the right directory. All right. And so I do that Docker compose up. Here comes my overlay network, and it should have a exposed URL on port 6700. So if we go to 6700, was I using this before? No. So I got to go and find the correct URL, which is all over the place. That's the wrong version of Brave here. What's going on? That turn, boom, come here. These are not the droids I'm looking for. All right, I'm going to have to figure this out the hard way, I guess. Let's come back over to here, and we'll do a, what is this URL? It's going to be, do I have a Xerox dot? Yeah, it's Ziti TV. Ziti TV, that's what I called it. All right, well, this is the same URL, so we'll just take that, and we'll pop over to here. We'll go to https:// and this is Ziti TV and port 6700. And oh, my certificate must have expired. Certificate details, March 21st. Okay, so apparently I need to re-up my certificate. We're going to just ignore that for right now. I'll do that between here and next Ziti TV. But my certificate apparently has expired. And no, wait a minute. That is not the right. No, so this is quick start. So the plot thickens. Do I have the correct URL? This should be presenting me the correct certificate, and it is not. I've come in on the correct. All right, so debugging immediately. That's great. All right, so let's come back into our learn OpenZiti. Let's go back to part 4, and we're going to look at, there's a connect to controller.sh. We're going to come into the controller, and we're going to look at the controllers, Ziti TV, controller config file. And we're going to find our certificates, yes. So ztTV.demo.openziti.org. Okay, so maybe that's the problem. ztTV. No Clint. No? Did it have a Clint in it? I thought it, ztTV.demo.openziti.org. That's the one. Oh, it's controller. Hey, see? That's good debugging right there. We got there. Okay, so I was using the wrong URL. My bad. Controller.ztTV.demo.openziti.org, port 6700. You can see, if I pretty print this, port 6700 is presenting the Edge API, the Edge Client API, the Edge Management API, and the Edge OIDC API and health checks. Okay, so that's what we have out there. So we can go to this URL, copy, paste, and it should, there you go. It should present us with a self-signed certificate, which it does, and it basically shows you the same stuff. This is also where my ZAC is located, because in this iteration of the controller, the ZAC is delivered on the same, did I get it right? I did. Is delivered on the same port as the management API, because that's how it's configured. And we'll see that in just a second. So if you see this URL here, this is the same as, we got to go back to the Ziti controller.ztTV demo/ZAC. These two URLs are the same. I have to log in again because it's two different URLs. Yeah, save that. Thank you. Come on. Okay, and these are the same thing. And so if I go to identities here and identities here, you'll see they are the same thing, because OpenZiti has been configured with two different sets of certificates. One, the private PKI, the self-generated PKI that has a self-signed certificate that you created when you ran the quick start. And that PKI is for you. It's your PKI. You own it. You operate it. It's your whole entire CA all the way down. And then the one from Let's Encrypt, the alternative server cert. And so that's why we have the same exact thing at two different URLs. But we have the ZAC and we have the management API. Both are HTTP APIs, and we now want to turn them dark. Oh, and I forgot to talk about what I meant by turning them dark before. So OpenZiti has a great way of using a private address as your URL and making your HTTP API dark. But also, if you're a developer and you want to add a listener inside of your application, you can get rid of the listening port entirely, so that even if you were inside the Docker world, you still could not connect to the OpenZiti controller using IP addresses, because it would be application embedded zero trust. Now, the controller doesn't have an identity baked into it just yet, but that's the same idea. And we do have other, like I can show you an example of an API, of a application embedded zero trust client. The Ziti CLI actually has, if we type Ziti, we do Ziti ops verify traffic. This command, Ziti ops verify traffic, actually will go through and test your overlay to make sure that you have it correctly configured. But it has a mode in here, this mode. And so you can run it in mode server. And when you do that, localhost will not work. We need to do, let's copy our URL. Copy. And controller URLs. This username is that, and that. Did I type it wrong? Oh, it's unknown authority. Okay, let's use the private. This needs the private URL. That's why. Controller URLs. This. Get rid of all that, and it's yes. Oh, it's password. All right. There it goes. And so now this is application embedded. This client is actually listening on the overlay exclusively. And so if we come back to our identities and do a quick refresh, we'll see we have this new server that exists, because this tool will make a server and it will make a client and it will send traffic between them and make sure that it works. And so that's fully application embedded zero trust. No IPs listening on the underlay or at all, only the overlay. All right, let's get back to the show. I forgot to clean up. Let's clean this up. Clean up. Oh, I might have to give it the right prefix here. Copy, and prefix is this, and let's clean it up. Password is that. Oops, I didn't want mode. Where's the mode? I just wanted to clean up. All right. If this doesn't work, we'll just get out of here real quick. Yeah, chug. Good. Okay, go. So now that identity should be gone. All right. Now, we're going to make the management API dark. And to do this, we need to open the OpenZiti's controller config file. So let's use VI, and we'll open Ziti TV controller config, or controller.yaml. When you go to the bottom of the controller config file, you'll see this big section. It looks like this. And there's a web section, and the web section contains a list of bind points. And so these bind points, and you'll see in here, one or more bind points are required, specifies the interface. Somewhere up above, where is it? Right here, the API. It says this address, and so it'll say that there needs to be a bind point. Where does it say that? This controller. Where is the text that says that you need to have one of these above or below? I don't remember. All right, well, let's see. When we see this address down here, this address will need to show up as one of the bind points. And so if we come down below, we'll see we have this address down here as well. And then if we continue to look, you'll see there's a section for the identity of these APIs, whatever the API is on this particular bind point. And so here's the identity I used from before. It comes with a quick start. And then down below, you'll see an APIs section, and you'll see all of the APIs that are available on this particular bind point. One of which is the ZAC. I had mentioned we'll see that later a few minutes ago. And there's the ZAC, one of which is OIDC. There's the fabric, there's the client, and there's the management API. So we're going to take this whole thing and we're going to make the management API, the fabric API, and the ZAC all dark. So that's 3 APIs we're going to make dark. All right. So first thing we do, we'll go back to the instructions, connect to the SSH target. Oh, yes. So, see, there you go. I'm going to have to put that in a code block. This was to make sure your things are still working. You'll want to exit and then connect to the SSH target. And now you'll notice that if you have restored, you're going to be missing your private key and whatnot. So if you want to be able to SSH and do all that stuff, then go ahead and follow these instructions, install the Ziti Edge tunnel again and do all that. I'm going to skip all that just because it's preamble and happened last episode. And this is just a reminder on how to go do all those things. All right. So if you want to be able to SSH to your target again using our good friend Bob, let's turn Bob on, by the way. Here's the Ziti Desktop Edge for Windows starting up, and we should see Bob. Yep, and he has 3 services. If you want those 3 services to continue to work, then, oops, where did I do? I hid Bob. Let's come back. Then you're going to need to re-enable your SSH target. All right. Excuse me. So let's come back to here. Oops, and let's connect to the controller. I think that's the next instruction. Make a service for our new, actually, smart. So since we're going to take the management API and the ZAC and make it dark, you better make yourself a service first. Because if you don't, you're going to need to use the Ziti CLI. And that's totally cool. If you like the CLI, that's great. But the ZAC does make a few things a little bit easier. So just let's make our lives easy and let's make this service first. So we go to the Ziti console, we click the services tab, we click the plus, we make a simple service, and now let's just tear this off and read the README. Service name should be management. Actually, let's see if we can do this. Can we slam it left and slam it right? Yeah, that's good enough, right? Maybe we can make this a bit smaller. All right, so let's make service name, management API. What identities can access this? Let's use a new attribute called management API dialers. What is the controller hostname? So this is the intercept. So we're going to use controller.ziti. What happened there? Controller.ziti as our name, and we're going to use port 6701. We can use whatever port we really want. 6701 is actually an overlap, so I don't like using that port. Let's use 16,000 instead. Maybe I'll have to change this. You use whatever port you like. What identities can host it? We want any identity with the binders attribute to be able to host the service. Where is the traffic going to offload to? I see there's like a little pop-up that hovers over that. Interesting. It's going to go, I'm going to hide me real quick. It's going to go to controller.docker, and it's going to go on port 6701 because that is the port, I guess. All right, I'm going to walk it back. I'm going to keep them the same. 6701. And then, let's see, port 6701. Okay, now we can save that. And then we're done. And now we need to add this attribute to Bob. So we go find the Bob identity and we give him the management API dialers and we click save. And then after a small second, Bob should have 4 identities or 4 services. Let's see if Bob gets that 4th service anytime. There it comes. All right. And it's right here, management API. I know it's kind of barely readable. And then let's give the router let's authorize the router to be able to bind that service by finding the router quick. Is this the right one? Router quick start. Yep. Router quick start Ziti TV. And let's give this the binders attribute. And then click save. Where's my mouse? Right there. And then if we go back to the Docker container real quick up here on the top here, we should see this service pop into existence. Oh, I already did. Terminator established right there. All right. So now we know we have a terminator. We can always check that. Ziti Edge login. Oh, maybe it took a little while. It's additional terminator. Maybe it already had one. So let's just Ziti Edge login and Ziti Edge list terminators. And you can see the router, home router Ziti TV. No, router quick start is the one we want. Router quick start Ziti TV has SSH to Docker. Oh, yes. And now has the management API. Remember, SSH to Docker, one of those services we used a couple of episodes ago. All right. So now we have created the service. We verified that our Bob identity has access, and we verified that our router has the authorization to bind, and we confirmed that the, let's see, where do you find terminators in Zach? I never use Zach to find terminators. I thought it was here. Right there. It's under identities. Router. Well, we don't sort. Ryan. Hey, it's been a while since we found a Ryan bug, but we've found one for Ryan to come and fix. Where is my mouse? Oh, I can turn me back on again because everybody needs to see that. So it looks like the router, it's not sorting term. Oh, okay. That worked. Our router doesn't sort, service doesn't sort. Okay, so we got a couple that don't sort. I was trying to sort by this. I guess I could always just filter by it. Oh, filter doesn't work either. All right, Ryan, we got a couple bugs to fix, bud. All right, and I wanted to see this, the management API. Let's see if I type mgmt.api. Will that? Nope. Okay, so fun fact for Ryan to come in and look at. Excuse me. Okay, so now we have a service that we should be able to dial. And so well, it won't work right now because the management API, if we come back, we're looking at it, Zach, the management API is on 6700, not 6701, right? And so this service is not listening on this particular port and won't be there. And so you can't use it. Now let's go ahead and update our config file. I'm going to make this bigger. OpenZiti, Ziti TV, and then controller.yaml. And I think I put all of these things into the README. Yeah, and so make the web controller section look like this. And so I'll just make it. Oops, actually, there's a copy button. Copy that. Come over to VI and find web and 1000 delete and paste. And I noticed that I caught the web in there in a comment, so undo that. Right, and quit. And now Control C the Docker Compose, and then up arrow and run the Docker Compose. So now, if I've done everything correctly, the Docker Compose should not be losing its mind. It should be pretty stable. Looks like it is. If it were losing its mind, it would be restarting it over and over again because you have messed up something along the way, copy and pasted wrong. Something went wrong, go back and check it out. Let's make sure we can Ziti Edge list services still. Oops, how about login? Okay. Oh, we got to connect to the controller first. Ziti Edge list services with an S, and then login. Ziti Edge login. Oh, I didn't exit cleanly. That's why I didn't save my history. Admin from here to 6700. Okay, so now the Ziti CLI remembers the port that you connected to before, and see it's got it on 6700, and that of course doesn't exist anymore. So now I have to give it 6701, and that should work because of how Docker and the compose file works. Let's look at the compose file real quick. So I'm going to flip over to VS Code because it'll be a bit easier to see it in here. I did make a couple of changes in here. The controller now has an alias of controller.docker. That was important so that the router could offload towards the controller. The router has an alias of router.docker. I gave the SSH target SSH target.docker and the home router.docker. I added those aliases. Also, 6701, I don't think exists in here. Yep. And then there is the only port that the controller, let's see, is this the controller? Yeah. The only port that the controller is exporting is going to be whatever the advertised port is, which is 6700. And so that's the only port that's exported. So 6701 is only going to be available within the Docker world. And so let's do a https://controller.docker on 6701. Doesn't work. Okay, we're going to get there. Let's see. Oh, we're in the controller. So localhost 67001. Connection. Okay, SS. And we have 67. Oh, okay. So let's look at that too. I forgot about this as well. When in the README, you'll notice. I should explain what we did too. Yeah. I'm sorry. I skipped a step. Forgive me. This web section looks different. The first thing that you'll notice is that there is now a second entry. Now the name of the first public endpoint is client and OIDC. You must keep those public. Those have to be available on the internet because that's how clients will connect to the controller. I left everything the same. The address is still 6700 on the private domain name. The identity block is the same. I removed everything except for the Edge client and the Edge OIDC HTTP APIs. So those are out there. You can get to those still. You can do that right now and it'll be up and running and available. But then I made this private API section. Everything's the same except the port and the interface. This is what I've done wrong in my command line. I've used controller.docker as the interface to bind on. And what happens is when the runtime comes on, it'll resolve controller.docker, find the IP address, and bind to that IP address. And so I need to use this IP in order to connect from, or controller.docker should have worked. I don't know why it didn't. There we go. And so now this, okay, and it'll tell you that it's wrong. Yes, I know. And this fails because of a different thing that we did way back in the day when we first created our controller. Open SSLS client connect to 172 on port 6701. So OpenSSLS client will, let's show certs too. Show certs. OpenSSLS client is a real handy utility when you're looking at your certificates. And so when we created our controller way back in episode 1, we are looking for the alternative service certs. And I'm going to just have to post. I'm just going to just. I thought show certs would do this. OpenSSL X509 text. When we created it, the alternative names that it was created with are localhost, this big long name, this IP address, and this IP address. I don't know. 001. Yeah, the IPv6 localhost. So I can't connect on this IP. I should be able to connect on 127.0.0.1. But I can't because I've bound to the IP address. And so I can't even connect to this from the controller. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to the router. And from the router, I should be able to connect there. But it still isn't going to work because our SANs are wrong. So in order for this to succeed, I have to connect to either localhost, EC2, blah, 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 or 127.0.0.1. Those are the only three. I'm not going to leave IPv6 out of it. There's only three that'll work. And so even from the router, this isn't going to work. I need to initiate the connection going to one of these things. And so if I'm lucky, and if this resolves to that URL, it does, then I should be able to use Ziti. Oh, actually, I could be able to do this from the controller then. I should be able to, I believe. Login. slash paste 6701. TLS error. All right, so let's see. Connection error. Remote TLS. Remove ZD dollar. No, let's do tilde. Dot ZD config ZD CLI. Yeah. Huh. Well, I thought that would work. All right. So apparently, this is not resolved to the right IP address. It's resolving to 31.11.231. Well, that's the reason why it's not working. Because in our sans, where's our sans block? It wants, not sans, where's the 172? Where did we bind this? The bind port. Ping controller.docker. Yeah, it needs to resolve to this IP address, and that's why it's failing. All right, so we'll just keep going because I can't connect with the ZD CLI from inside of Docker anymore. So now I should be able to connect there using Bob. Where's Bob? Because what we've done, as a reminder, I'm going to use my browser, connect through the tunneler to controller.zd, exit the router towards controller.docker, and should connect. And because I'm using a browser, I'll be able to override the certificate warning that it's going to give me. HTTPS controller.zd on 6701. And I can already tell it worked. Proceed. And that's the API. So let's now go into the ZAC. Enter that same admin username and password. Look at our identities, and there's Bob. So we've proven we're in the same exact ZAC instance. Let me cough one more time. All right. And in this case, the ZD CLI is being very stringent and strict with TLS connections. Because the IP address and the certificate don't match, you are never going to be able to connect through the ZD CLI because that certificate has the wrong sans in it. In order to fix that, there's a various bunch of ways you could fix it. I don't think we'll do that here in the Ziti TV unless people want to, but it's kind of a lot of effort. Instead, a better way to do this would be to simply use the same IP address or a different DNS entry when you create the certificates the first time around, or anything along those lines. You can use a host file entry if you want, but of course, host file entries are easy to forget. So I hope that explains how to make the API dark. Let's go back to that. I've done all the things. Let's how to make the API dark. We made the management API and the ZAC dark. And we have time. That's 30 minutes. We can go make some other HTTP service dark. And so let's go ahead and do that then. We can extend what we're doing. Generally speaking, we have a nice Docker container. Let's see if what the Docker container name is. There's a nice one that we have that returns the OpenZiti logo. I think it's just hello OpenZiti. Let's go. Let's just YOLO and try it. Docker run OpenZiti hello world. Hello. All right. I know it's out there. Let's go find it. How am I going to find it? I'm pretty sure it's referenced in the GitHub OpenZiti repository. Look for hello and issues requests 429. Okay. None of those things. Let's go and let's scan the actual Ziti repo instead. Hello in OpenZiti/Ziti. No. Okay. All right. Let me just look at the actual GitHub OpenZiti/Ziti and in the Dockers. Where is the Docker? It's in dist, I think. Where's quick start? Quick start, Docker, image. Where's the compose file? Where is the complicated Docker compose file? Hello world is there. OpenZiti hello world. What did I type? Yeah, OpenZiti. Oh, I do this all the time. Okay, and so OpenZiti hello world is a cute little, let's go back here, SSH cd zrock, and then curl to localhost. What port is it on? SS-lntp. Where is sudo? Where is it? Oh, maybe I probably have to give it a port. Docker run -p 2000:80. 2000. Oh, might have something on 2000 already. All right, let's go look at the compose file again. Port 80 to 8. Okay, so it's 8000. Let's run it on 8000. And then let's curl to 8000. There it goes. And there's a little OpenZiti logo. And so we're going to pretend that this is our other environment or HTTP server that we want to secure. And so first things first is let's put it on the open internet. Docker compose run. I don't think 8000 is exposed. Well, we'll see if 8000 is exposed. Let's go back over to here. And let's go to what the ZAC one. Where is the 6700? Okay, fine. It's controller.z, this one. 8000. Okay, so it is exposed. So 8000 is exposed on the internet right now. And so that's exposed because I used the -p here. And so instead of that, let's go back to our draw IO and let's move this guy. Oops, let's get them both. Come on. Move these guys down like this. We'll do this and we'll do this. No, come on, just this one. Thank you. And then we'll just copy this one. And this will be our OpenZiti hello world like this. And so in order to do that, we're going to have to put it into the OpenZiti network. And so we'll run our container. We will not expose a port. And we will say network is OpenZiti. No network named OpenZiti. So we do a Docker network ls. And we find, it's going to be called part 4 OpenZiti. I could just put this in the compose file, but I'm being lazy. And if this doesn't work out, that's what we'll end up doing. All right, so now it's running. If I connect to any of the machines, like the router, I should be able to curl to http // and then let's give it an alias as well. Alias, is it? Network alias, yeah. Hello. Let's just call it hello. Okay. HTTP hello on 8000. And we can see from the router, we can now get to hello 8000. So if I were making a brand new service inside of Docker or wherever, and I wanted my router to be able to connect, and I'm going to use my router as the offload point, right? That's important. And we could also go back and use the home router and just show you how to do it that way too. But here I'm using the router that's in the OpenZiti network. And so the first thing you want to do is make sure that that router can actually connect to the service in question. So many times people screw this up because it's easy to screw up. And so I personally always test and make sure. And once I've done that, it makes it easy to make the service. And so now we have a service running. We have this open world container or hello world container. We can go back to our ZAC. And remember, I've made the management API dark. So now I can't go to this URL anymore. It won't work. I have to use my controller, HTTPS controller. I have to use this URL. Oh, and I also have to have the OpenZiti desktop edge for Windows on too, right? Like if this thing's not running, you can't get to ZAC anymore. And let's go to services and we'll make a new service. It'll be simple service and we'll say hello Ziti and what identities can access the service. Now you can continue with the theme, hello Ziti dialers if you'd like. You could use Bob if you actually Bob. Ryan, why is this not searching? All right. Well, you should this should search for Bob. You should find Bob. Maybe we'll talk to Ryan about bug number 2. And then we'll do hello.ziti as the URL. And I'm going to leave it on port 80. I'm not going to use 8,000 just because I'm lazy. What identities can host the service? Again, follow the theme. Hello Ziti binders. We inform the router where it's going to send traffic. It'll send it to the hello container. Actually, I'm going to do this one more thing. I generally like to use an actual fully qualified domain name just because it saves you a lot of hassles. So make sure it has a period in it. And if you have a period, then you're going to be good to go. So let's go to hello.docker on port 8000, and there's our service. Now, when we do this, Bob should get a 5th service here. Oh, nope, Bob won't get a 5th service, will he? Because I forgot to add the attribute to Bob. So hello Ziti dialers. Now Bob will get a 5th service. Eventually. Takes about, 5 to 15 seconds, somewhere in that range, I think. Did I do it? Did I click save? I don't think I clicked save. So now Bob will show up. In the meantime, we'll go back and we'll find the quick start router, and we'll give this the hello Ziti binders and save. And now check Bob. And now Bob has the 5th service, hello.ziti right there. And so let's go back and check our overlay and see if we see Bob or hello. Looks like it just popped in. Yeah, it just popped in right there. Terminators. So let's check to see. Whoops, can't do it over here. Let's check to see exit. If there's a terminator, connect to controller and Ziti edge list terminators. Ziti. Oh, can't use the CLI. Right. I broke the CLI. Let's go to terminators, and we'll see that there is a hello.ziti terminator. And so if we look at the services and the hello Ziti intercept config, we should be able to go to, where's the hello.ziti? So let's go http://hello.ziti. Boom. Just like that. And now you have an entirely dark HTTP API. Very simple, but that's how you would do it. There are certain protocols like FTP that becomes very challenging. FTP is an antiquated protocol, insecure transport as well. So using Ziti is a good idea if you're going to use FTP. But FTP has weird protocol behaviors. So if you're doing weird protocol behaviors, it's not always so simple. You have to sometimes know your protocol that you're trying to enable. I use this for IDP a lot personally. There's a short video on the YouTube channel about using RDP. SSH obviously is a good one too. We've gone through some SSH examples, and yeah, that's Ziti TV for this week. So we have made the API dark. We have shown how to access the HTTP-based API from OpenZiti itself and the management API of OpenZiti itself, which is cool, right? Using Ziti to protect Ziti. And we have stood up some other random HTTP container and secured that as well. And so that's our Ziti TV. Well, I hope you've had a good time watching part 4. Let me know if there's anything you want from part 5. Your comments do help drive the Learning OpenZiti series. So if there is something you want to see, then please, by all means, let me know what it is. And if there's not another topic, then, when I figure out what the next topic will be, I'll let people know. Using Docker, I think, is particularly interesting. The stuff that Ken found about using a Docker container as the OpenZiti, using an OpenZiti container as the Docker container's intercept is really neat. It's a bit advanced, but it's cool stuff. So maybe that'll show up someday. And again, If there's any questions, find me in the forum. If you have any Ziti TV desires, post them in the forum, post them in the comments below. I'm not going to ask you to like and subscribe, but if you want, go ahead, go nuts. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.